nobody talks shit about him. I can, but nobody else says anything about him.
I know y'all cussing, saying the cuss words in the rap songs.
She brought all the trash in his room.
Parents aren't perfect. And as a parent, you're going to make a mistake. You're being passive aggressive, Mom. You need to just handle
My
it.
daughter called me passive aggressive
Yeah.
yesterday too.
Yeah, she's, why did you let me do that?
My family used to say no news is good news. Have you ever had to apologize to your kids?
Yes,
You have?
quite often.
Even more now that they're older, or do you think when they were younger?
I apologize when they were younger. Sometimes I have to apologize because they don't feel like I listen. And you know, when you're a mom, you don't really listen. Like, I mean, I listen, but I don't like let their story play out. Like, it's like, Mom, I'm trying to talk to you about something and you haven't listened all the way through before I interrupt and start saying why maybe I disagree or why maybe I agree or why maybe I think things were different than the way they were. And I'm learning more now to be a little slower to speak, to let them get their feelings out or whatever it is they need to stay out.
Do you think you already know what they're going to say, and that's kind of why you kind of start talking before they get it out? You're like you already know the story.
No, I think that sometimes I just simply don't agree with them. Or sometimes I just simply think you're going to go into this whole story and I don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like when your kids get older, even when they're younger, they may not see, we may not see eye to eye. We may not see things the same way. But I'm learning to listen because if I listen, I can understand how they feel. And I can see why they have some of the trauma that they've had in their lives, or they've had different things play out in their lives in a different way because of some of the things that I've done, or some of the things that I've done that I didn't realize at the time I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Right?
have an example you can share?
Like when you're in a relationship, or when you're a single mom and you're not in a relationship and you raise boys, it's difficult. I said this before in another episode. It's difficult for a woman to teach a boy how to become a man.
Mm-hmm.
I can teach you how to be sweet and kind and nice. I can't teach you how to be a man. And I think that because we have so many women in our family and not a lot of men in our family, it's hard for me to see both sides of the coin because I'm not a man.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like, I feel like I've had positive role models or families. Like I have a lot of friends that are married, who still married and have children. And I feel like those men are good men and good examples. But it would be very difficult. It's difficult for me to understand the plight of a man when I'm not a man and I'm a single mom and I've never been married.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And my relationships were far and few in between because I didn't want them around my kids. So
Yeah.
that's like, that can be traumatizing for a boy. That can be traumatizing for a single mother.
Traumatizing being the only one and not really knowing, the mostly women around and not being able to kind of navigate that. So you're kind of just you're figuring it out as you go along, basically.
Oh, I think
And
every,
so,
yeah.
well, I mean, we all are figuring out.
Mhm.
I mean, I have two girls, and
Mhm.
I apologized yesterday for telling my daughters that they were being ungrateful, and I was like, I went upstairs. I made spaghetti and meatballs or whatever for them. And I go upstairs and I was like, they're not being ungrateful. I'm just taking on too much.
Mhm.
And so I went back downstairs and I was like, I apologize. You're not being ungrateful. I said, I'm taking on too much and I should be asking for help. And that is definitely something that I work on. I should be asking you guys for help because they need to learn how to do the things too. They need to learn how to juggle
Especially when you're going to college.
responsibilities around the
Yeah,
house. Yeah.
correct.
And my oldest daughter will tell me, like, she's the one who'll be like, I said I'll do the dishes. I'll load the dishwasher, don't worry about it. And she'll be like, you just want it done when you want it done. And that's why you're having like trouble right now. Because I want it done when I say I want, like, I'm like, take care of the dishes. And she's like, I got it, Mom. I'll do it in a couple of minutes. And then I'll just start doing it. And she's like, Mom,
Well,
I said I'll do it.
but that's because, remember when your parents were like, because I said so,
Yeah,
or
but that
do as
doesn't
I
fly.
say.
That doesn't fly anymore.
But the problem in that is you should have said, wash the dishes now, not in a minute. Like now. Like
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
now.
I get what you're
So
saying. But
so I think that what happens, you get frustrated, and most mothers get frustrated. I do it all the time. I did it with my kids when they were younger. It was like I'd say, "Can you take out the trash?" Well, the trash is still sitting there for 15 minutes, and
hmm
then my dumb ass goes to take the trash out. Where when I should say,
that's right.
I said, "Get up and take the trash out
hmm
now."
hmm
Like take the trash out now, not in 20 minutes or not after your show goes off,
Right.
or not after you get off the, finish playing your game. Now,
But we also know that sometimes that means it doesn't get done.
but see,
You
that's
know what I
our
mean?
fault.
And
No, that's not the
exactly.
kid's fault. That's our fault.
Exactly, but that's my point. It's like that's why we're so like, okay, just go ahead and do it now. Like take care of it now because you're gonna get caught up in your show or playing your game or talking on the phone or whatever, and then
See, I'm not saying that.
tomorrow's gonna
I'm saying get up and go
right.
throw
But what I'm
throw the
saying
damn
is
trash away
that's why we're
right now.
telling them to do it now.
Yeah.
That's why we're saying to do it
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
There's a story. There's a guy I know, and his mom. Speaking of trash, his mom told him this is when he was obviously little or whatever teenager to take the trash out, and he didn't do it that night. And she brought all the trash in his room. She brought all the trash in his
Hmm.
room. He
It's
woke
it's
up with
almost
all the
like
trash in his
I
room.
posted something yesterday. It's almost like when kids are young and they're like, all you do is scream. All you do is scream. So then when they become adults, they're like, I'm not going to scream at my child. I'm not going to talk to my kid that way because you screamed at us all the time. Well, how about when I use my inside voice? Nobody
Yeah,
moves.
nobody moves.
Nobody moves. Nobody hears me. Nobody knows.
But do you explain that? 'Cause I explain that to my daughters.
I've
Like
explained that for 25
I
years.
tell them, like, I'll be like, "Hey, make sure you whatever, fill in the blank, pick anything, fill in the blank." And then I'll say it again, and then they don't do it. And then I'm like, then I'm done, right? Then, "Well, you don't have to talk to us like that." Okay. Then I literally said, "The reason I'm talking to you like that is because when I use my inside voice, my mama voice, my nice mommy
Yeah,
voice,
I'm not nice mommy
nobody's
like that.
moving."
I'm not. I'm like, yeah, get up and do what I said do. Like I just I think that a lot of the way I was raised, because when I was raised, we got whoopings. We got a
Mhm.
spanking. I mean, my grandmother would whoop you. Like she would tell you to go get a switch and she would whoop you. And there was not a lot of disrespect in that household. When you walked in and you saw her, you were like, "Hi, how are you?" I mean, you could see the level of respect when you walked in the room because there was a certain bit of I was a little afraid,
I was gonna say it's fear.
right?
Like,
I
you're
was
scared.
afraid. Like I
Yeah.
had my mouth washed out with soap
Mhm.
for getting smart so many times. And when I grew up, I got a spanking. I got on put on punishment. We had a landline. Remember, like dun dun dun
Mhm.
dun dun. And
Mhm.
my mother would take the phone literally out of the wall and put it in her room.
Ooh.
Like she would put it in her room. She did not play that. And with my son, I was so strict on my son that it was crazy. But I think that I was so strict on him is because I was a woman trying to raise a man. And I knew that one day he would have his own family and he would be the head of that family and he would have to take care of his family.
And you probably felt like raising a man, he had to be had to have a certain level of toughness
A
about
100%.
him, right?
I mean, he says I was stern. I was very stern.
Mhm.
Like they would say to me all the time when it came to Gracie, they would be like, lighten up.
Yeah.
It's different now. But is it? I mean, because we got some out of control kids right now. They probably need a spanking, right? They probably need a little tough love. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't know. I just feel like where's the fear? Kids aren't afraid, and so
Mm-mm.
now kids are saying the way you discipline me is trauma to me. Okay.
Well, there are things kids now like they just have a voice where they can express themselves.
Hmm.
We allow that space for them to do that. I feel
Hmm.
like growing up when we grew up or and before, even before then, children weren't allowed, be seen but not heard was kind of like how it
Hmm.
was probably when my mom was growing up. But now we give kids so much space to express themselves. I feel like where we didn't do that before, like when my daughter was born,
Yeah,
my
there's just some things you don't say in front of your parents, and there's just some things you don't do in front of your parents. So I agree with
kind
you.
of, but if they're gonna do it, wouldn't you rather they do it and they're doing it rather than doing it behind your back?
No, because you're not gonna sit in my house and just cuss with me all day and do just disrespectful things with me. You're not.
Yeah, but
So if
your
you want
kids
to
don't
leave
do
and
that though.
no, I'm saying, but some kids do. But if you
Mm.
want to leave and go do that on your own with your friends, I used to say all the time, I know y'all cussing, saying the cuss words in the rap songs, and they like, what? I know y'all cussing, but in
Mhm.
front of me, no,
Mhm.
no. I mean, I just, I know, and I'm learning as my kids get older and we open the line of communication that there were some things as a mom that I did were not perfect, right? I probably talked about things, adult things in front of kids that I shouldn't have. Because there was things my mom and them did that I never even heard of.
I
Like they
don't
never
I
even
don't
knew.
I don't recall that with you talking
I,
about
I
adult
don't
things in front of
know.
your kids.
I
I don't.
don't know. I think maybe,
We made sure they were in the basement, like they're
that is
downstairs
true.
where,
That is true.
downstairs playing
That is
while we
true.
were upstairs. I feel
Mhm.
like we made
Well,
an
maybe if they
effort.
heard something, they were dipping.
For I mean,
They
probably.
were
Yeah,
dipping. They're
probably.
around the corner
Wouldn't
sneaking.
you?
Yeah.
As a as an
Hmm.
8-year-old, 10-year-old, like what are they doing?
Peeking.
Hmm.
My mother used to catch me though. She'd be like, Nikki.
Yeah.
I would run around that corner. Like,
No, I don't. I feel like we were.
but I think it's healthy to apologize to your children. I think it's healthy for your kids to know that you're a human being.
Yes.
I think it's healthy to for them to understand that parents are people too, and we make mistakes. We make mistakes.
And you're teaching them how to communicate. Then you're
Hmm.
teaching them it's okay to apologize. It's okay, you lose your temper, you lose whatever,
But you're also
but
teaching
you
them
also need to.
forgiveness
Yeah.
because I say this all the time: parents aren't perfect, and as a parent, you're going to make a mistake, and you're going to want your child to forgive you. So, children, unless it's something just terrible, like terrible, and you can't get past it, and you can't get past it with therapy and mental health counseling or anything, then you learn to forgive and to forgive your parents because forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person.
Hmm.
My real father wasn't in my life a lot. And I had a better relationship with him as I got older and became an adult. I really didn't have a relationship with him when I was little. I had a relationship with his mom, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And that bothered me. But I had a cool stepfather that basically raised me or helped my
Hmm.
mom raise me. And as I got older, I thought to myself, I kind of need to forgive my dad, right? Because I don't know what he went through when he was a kid. I don't know. I know my grandmother was good to him. I know he was, good to my cousins and his nieces and some of his other kids. He just was never in my life. But I had to make a decision to forgive him. And through that forgiveness, it helped me be a better mom and a better person and to understand, you know what? Hey, there's not a perfect parent.
And then back then, that your dad or your mom would have never, they would have come and said, "Hey, I'm a human. I'm a person. I have feelings. This is what's going on." Whereas I think now, that's what I mean. Like, it's a bit more open. Like, I've said to my girls, raising them, just me and them for the last however many years, I've had to say to them, like, listen, mom is a person. I have feelings. I have desires. I have dreams. You know, there are things I want to accomplish too. So you need to understand, like, the words can affect me just like they affect you. Maybe not as quickly because I'm an adult, but what you say matters. And
Yeah.
I let them know I'm a person, because I remember thinking back, my mom and I probably would have never had that conversation as I was growing up. You know what I mean? And then
No, my
my
mother would have
mom
got a
worked.
cigarette and kept moving.
Yeah, my mom, well, and right. And
Yeah.
so
Because it was
that,
just some things you were scared to talk to your parents about.
yeah, but I've carried some of that over to my girls, because they'll say, like, when the conversation gets to a certain point, and I'm just like, you know what, we're not going to do this right now,
Mhm.
and they're like, well, we want to have the conversation, you
And
know.
it's also like I will never forget. I talk about this before when my son said I missed his senior night. Like I was there when he signed his letter of intent, but I missed his senior night because I was waiting on their dad. I was trying to get kids together. I was doing everything that I needed to do, but being on time. And that was my fault, right? But it broke my heart when he told me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
Like, I am so sorry. It has stuck with me because I didn't think about it. I didn't realize how badly that affected him and how that hurt him. As he's getting older, I'm realizing more things that I've done to hurt all of them. My girls will tell me in a minute, they will be like, "You're being passive aggressive, mom. You need to just handle
My
it."
daughter
Like,
called me passive aggressive
yeah.
yesterday
Yeah. She's
too.
like, "You just need to handle it." Or, yeah, that's,
I'm not
mom,
passive
you shouldn't be
aggressive.
like this. Or maybe that's the way some of your relationships are the way they are. And then when you have kids, it's a big ass mirror.
Oh, they show you who
And when
you
you get
are. They
adult
sure do.
kids, you going to look at that mirror because they're going to tell you things that you did that hurt them.
Well, that's the mirror that talks back. When they're
Mhm.
little, you
Mhm.
see them doing certain things. You're like, "Oh, that's me." And
Mhm.
it's you. It's like you, but unfiltered you, without like
Mhm.
the nuances that it takes to function in society with like manners and
But
things like that.
you can't erase trauma, or you can't erase their feelings or what they went through. You can explain maybe the reason it happened. You can say to your kids, I didn't know better. In order to do better, you got to know better.
Hmm.
And somebody's got to teach you better.
Yeah.
Like, right?
And
So,
let you know that
mhm,
something bothered them.
yes, communicate.
Hmm.
And I love that about my relationship with my kids now, that when I do something wrong, they're like, "Hey, you did this wrong." Or you shouldn't have said that, or that wasn't correct, or that information wasn't good. Why don't you do the research? And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, right. And I do, I go, oh, right. You're probably right. I probably should have researched that.
Hmm.
Or I probably should have thought about that before I said it. But now I say to them as adults and siblings, hey, if you say something that bothers a Gracie, then Gracie, you need to address it.
Yes.
Because there's no reason to harbor bitterness. Bitterness is bad. And once you get to the point where it's being bitter, it's bad. And my son asked me, he talked to me, he said he was talking to me about forgiveness. And I'm like, I don't harbor anger and hate towards anybody. Not the father of my kids, not the fathers of my kids, not I really don't have drama in my life where it's I'm in a situation with people, right? I try to make peace with the people that I've ever had issues with. And I feel like that's why my life is always leading and flourishing and going in the right direction,
Yeah.
because I don't keep that. Like, shit bothers me, just like things bother my kids, or how things that I did to them when they were younger bothered them. But us talking about it and going through it, it's healthy.
Absolutely.
And it's healthy for everybody. It's healthy for generations to come, because I believe in my heart of hearts of generational sin. I believe that there's generational sin that has been on your father's father. The Bible says the sins of the father falls on the son.
Hmm.
And I believe that, right? I believe that. So my mom was a great mom, but I wanted to be a better mom,
Right.
right? So I couldn't say that from, as like the dad, because I
Right.
couldn't be the dad. I had to be
Right.
the mom.
Yeah.
I could try to be the dad, but it didn't work.
No, that's
That
not gonna
didn't
work.
work.
I remember
That
giving
didn't
my
work.
mom Father's Day cards. But I think that communication is so important. And then like you're with the kids is like the intention, like understanding like your sister's not trying to hurt you on purpose. You have to have a conversation. So if one did something that upset the other, you have to go back and have a conversation about that because there's the intent, like you love each other. So she's not trying to hurt you. She's not purposely,
Well, I mean,
doing
in some
whatever.
households, they might be trying to hurt them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in our household, they're not trying to hurt them, but in some households, they
But
could be
if
trying to
that's
hurt
the
them,
case, you
right?
have the conversation, you find that out.
Right.
I
Because, like,
think
there's kids that are probably, their siblings, where one sibling may be trying to tell the mom, you're not protecting me from this other sibling that could be bullying them, or it could be a ton of reasons. So, communicating. And also, as a parent, if that's happening, you got to say, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't know your sister was hurting you. I didn't know somebody at school was bothering you. I always tell my kids, if I don't know, I can't help you.
I've found out things
Hmm.
like not a lot, but a couple things from my oldest daughter Kendall when she was in elementary school, and I'm like, wait, you never told me that happened.
Hmm.
I'm like, no wonder you didn't like going there. Like,
Hmm.
why didn't you ever tell me? And then I start thinking, wait, have I not been open? Have I not been available enough where I gave her a space that she felt like she could share with me what's happening, or did she feel like she had to keep it all inside because I keep things inside? Like
So
I start
that was
thinking
mom
about
guilt for you.
I start thinking about
Hmm.
everything every time something happens with my daughters. I always put the mirror up at myself first.
Did you have mom guilt during your divorce?
I don't know if I no, I didn't feel guilty about it, but I did try to keep things as normal as possible. I did my best to try and protect them. And my oldest daughter, she talked to me about this today. She's like, you were just so protective that we didn't know what was going on. I was trying to just keep things normal, go to school, go to, all your after school activities and try and keep things as normal as
So do you think
possible.
protecting them from that hurt them or helped them?
I think that I would do it probably the same way
Hmm.
as I did because they were too young and it wasn't their responsibility to heal their parents from their divorce.
No.
They needed to heal themselves from our divorce. And that was my main focus. My focus, and that's why I was like, when you get older, we'll have a conversation about what happened. But right now, my focus is making sure that you and your sister are good.
Have you had that conversation?
So, yeah, well, I really didn't have a chance to because their dad told them so much about what
Mm-hmm.
happened in our marriage. And so it got to the point where I had to answer to it, but I didn't want to answer to it because again, I was like, I'm not, you guys are too young. You shouldn't be in the middle of this.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that that's not true. And I said, I can tell you this as well. The same two people can see an accident and have a completely different perspective.
Yes.
That's what I will tell you. Yeah, there were just things that I wasn't going to get into detail, like details about why we got divorced, because that's not a simple, one sentence answer. It's complicated and too complicated for, a fifth, a sixth, and a third grader at the time,
Mm-hmm.
to really understand it. All they know is my mom and dad aren't together. And so I was trying to protect them from being our therapist. Like they didn't need to be, they needed to heal themselves. So there are things like that. I just wasn't going to have that conversation until they got older. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of backfiring right now because, they feel like I wasn't as open. But honestly, I don't think that I would do it differently. If I could do it differently, it would be
When you
that
say backfiring, give me an example, like of what.
in the sense that they feel like I shut them out. They felt like their
Mm-hmm.
dad was being very open with them with what was happening, and I was not. And I was doing that in a protective space. And my oldest daughter gets that. She's like, you were so, I'm protecting my babies. I'm protecting my babies,
Mm-hmm.
And so she now at 18, she probably thinks she could handle that conversation. But me being an adult much longer, they wouldn't have been able to handle that conversation
Mm-hmm.
as a sixth and a third grader. That wouldn't have happened.
Do you think it's important for them to know the reason why you got a divorce? I mean, all the details.
The reason I didn't share a lot of that, and I don't know that I would be comfortable still, is because they need to see their father
Exactly.
as their father, not
Exactly.
from my perspective and my
Exactly.
experience
And you
with
don't
their
have
dad.
to talk about their dad, beat their dad down, say bad things about their dad, because their dad is going to show them exactly who he is on his own.
Right.
And
And that's, I wanted them to have their own relationship with him.
mhm.
I didn't want it to be like be on mom's side because dad did XYZ or dad
Mhm.
didn't do whatever. Like
And
have your
sometimes
relationship with
men
your
think
dad.
that, oh, the mom is saying bad things about me, or the mom is telling you, this and that about me, but you don't have to. Like, I didn't have to tell my kids. I don't have to tell my kids anything about who their dads are. They know.
Is there any topic that's off limits that you're just like, I'm not talking to my kids about that as adults and then maybe even when they were younger?
I'm way more open with my kids now that they're adults.
Sure.
Way, even with Gracie,
Hmm.
and she's 20. When they were kids, I was not open to talking about why I wasn't any longer in a relationship with their dad. I didn't talk about that. I did not talk about that at all. And he and I would go on vacations. Well,
Yeah.
we would go on vacations with the kids. We would go visit him for the summer with the kids.
Holidays. Yeah.
He had other relationships. I would still go eat dinner with them, with the kids. His family was my family, right? When they really weren't, but I will always view his family as my family because we have kids together. Even with my son's family, I will always view his dad's family as my family because we have a kid together. So I think that they all deserve that level of respect because they're their father. I
Yes.
mean, it's their dad. I always say this, I get to be mad at him. I get to pitch a fit,
Yeah.
do whatever I want to do, but you can't.
I remember one time we went out, I think we went out for sushi and a couple other girls were of our friends were with us
Uh huh.
and we saw him and you were like, nobody talks shit about him. I can, but nobody else says anything about him.
And I meant that. And I meant that.
And they were like,
I meant that. No, nobody. You don't get to talk about the father of my children to me. You
hmm.
don't. And if you don't like him and you have your own opinion about him, keep it to yourself
Yep.
because he's still their father,
Yes.
right? And he took care of us. When you look at a man's perspective, he provided for us. He made sure we had what we needed. Now he wasn't here every day because he couldn't be, right? And we weren't together. So as I'm growing up and I'm looking at things, I always tell them, you got to be grateful because you have lived a good life. And it wasn't because I had a 9 to 5. Like I didn't.
Mhm.
But I'm honest with them about that. I'm
Mhm.
honest with them about the fact that, I used to always say this and you would laugh. I'm like, if you're ready to give up your suit for my
Mm.
stilettos and I can go back to work, not that I was going to make that kind of money, right?
Right.
But I could, then do it. But I was not going to tell them the reason why we weren't together, the reason why we moved from Indiana out of our house. I wasn't going to do that. It was just off limits. It was just, and there's still things that I haven't told them and that I will never tell them
Right.
because I just feel like they don't need to know that. Like,
Right.
right?
That's your life.
Yeah. But, and when I was young, my mother would be like, girl, stay in a child's place. I
I
was
mean,
just like,
okay,
stay in a child's place.
there are things to this day I don't
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
that I won't
But,
ask, that I
but
won't even
here's the
ask.
thing that people need to understand. You don't need to know. You really don't need to know. And sometimes too much information is detrimental to you because you won't look at, like you said, you won't look at that person through the same lens.
And you don't get it. Like you
Hmm.
just don't understand as a child what your mom and your dad are experiencing because there's so much emotion that
Girl.
has happened prior to them even being in the picture.
Hmm.
So there's no way for our children to be able to wrap their heads around the dynamic of that.
My son said to me, and this is so true. I now see both sides of that coin because now I'm married and I have my own family and I can see both sides to that coin. And I really appreciated him saying that. He said, I can see where someone could feel unseen and I could see where someone could feel unappreciated because he's like, I don't know how you did this by yourself.
That's so profound that
I
even
had
that observation.
financial help, but mentally, physically, emotionally, I was broke the fuck down.
Hmm.
Like I was broke down
Yeah.
because it was mothering 24/7. And when your kids are grown, you are still mothering 24/7.
Yep.
It doesn't stop, right? You're still balancing that scale on all levels, right? It's like I tell my kids all the time, I just need proof of life. I know you grown, right? I get it. But that's not what I'm asking you for. I'm asking you for proof of I don't need to know all your shit. I just need to know you're breathing, you're okay,
It's so crazy.
and you're good.
Because back when we were growing up, there was no there. I was in the Philippines. My mom, there was no proof of life. There was no Life 360. I was in
Mm-mm.
France. I was in the Philippines, and I was like 19, 20 years old.
That's
My
crazy.
mom couldn't like check Life 360 and be
Was
like,
she like,
and
where are you?
no, and I remember
She wasn't?
calling. No, and the time difference,
Oh,
right?
I was like, what?
No, 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 she wasn't like she knew
Yeah.
when I asked her about going, she's like, absolutely, you should go. But
Hmm.
that's just, and I'm that way too, like, yeah, go experience life. But there was no checking in. There was no,
Girl,
she didn't know where I was
I
staying.
think about me as a 20 something year old girl, just graduated from college with my son. And I used to drive back and forth from Atlanta to Indiana.
Hmm.
It'd be a blizzard. We still driving down the
Oh,
street.
yeah.
And sometimes and like right now, like mama don't kill me, but I'm like, why did you let me do that?
Oh, I
Like I
slid,
really want to ask my mother, why did you let me do that?
yeah,
Like
I slid off the highway and then going to Ann Arbor. No, Benton Harbor.
it's like,
Remember
what were
the,
you thinking?
yeah. Oh, they were like, bye.
Gracie is driving down the highway and I'm like this, making sure she's straight. Like, did you get there? Are you there? I, my mother would say, take your time. What else am I gonna take?
My family used to
It's an
say,
8-hour
no,
drive and it's a blizzard.
my family used to say no news is good news.
That you talk about trauma.
So we both are pretty much the same as far as like sharing our relationship experience and why we're not with, the father of our kids. So what do you like, how do you help parents? Like what would you say to a parent or like a child that has wants to have a difficult conversation? Like how could your kids approach you with a difficult conversation and you be open to having it?
You have to be honest with yourself when you're a parent. You got to be real with yourself. You got to know. Like my kids will ask me a question and they'll say, "Well, I thought this, and you're not listening to this." Well, I won't see everything the way they see it, but I think that I just honestly pray that it's the right decision to have these conversations. I pray that I say it the right way. I try to think before I speak
Hmm.
because then I'm explaining a whole nother situation if I say the wrong thing. right? I think that you should, as a parent, be prepared to have tough conversations, because if you're not having them when they're 10 or 12, you damn sure gonna have them when they 15, 16.
Mm.
When they get 18 and get ready to go to college, there's tough conversations coming. They want to know why the room was black when it should have been blue. They want to know why you didn't do this when you said you were going to do this. They remember every lie. They remember every time you said you were going to do something. They remember if you threw money at them. They remember if they, I remember when I was young, I sat at school. My stepfather would take me to school every morning. He took me late every morning because he wanted to read the paper and sometimes stop at Popeye's Chicken and get biscuits. I can't make that shit up. Like, I cannot make that up. And I remember I used to go to my uncle's house. He wasn't really my uncle. He was my dad's best friend, Mr. Steele. And I told him that. I said, "Do you know when I was in high school, I had to go to my counselors and ask for study hall for first period because I was late every single day
Good
to
for
school."
you for
I,
planning that
well,
out, though.
what
Good
else was I
job.
gonna do? Because I lived out of the district. I wasn't in the district, so I couldn't get a bus.
Right.
So he had to take me. And I would try to tell every teacher, he doesn't care if I'm late. Like, he doesn't, I care if I'm late. He doesn't care if I'm late. And I talked to Mr. Steele about that one day, and I finally asked him, "Why'd you make me late for school every day?" I remember that.
Right.
I was in college.
What
And I
did
was like, why did you make me late to
what did
school
he
every day?
say?
I don't remember that. What? You don't remember me being late for school every day?
That's a great example how the kids always remember everything
I
and the
don't remember
parents
that.
don't.
What are you talking about? You went to school, you was fine. I was embarrassed because
Mm.
not only were you late picking me up from school, you were late getting me to school. So I would be sitting outside at the thing, and the teachers would be leaving. They're like, are your parents coming?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're coming." And then my mother would pull up in the Cadillac. "Come on, girl." So I never did that to my kids. I tried my best not to lie to my kids. You would tell a little white lie like the Easter bunny and all that shit, right? Like, but I would try to tell them the truth, whether they really wanted to hear it or not. I would try to tell them the truth.
One other thing you're really good about with your kids, and I picked this up from you, is when they get in the car from picking up from school or practice or whatever, that's the time for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'd be like, "Okay, I gotta go."
Mm-hmm.
Kay's getting in the car, she's getting in the car. And I think that's a great opportunity to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say to have a tough conversation with your child or your child with you, the first thing that what I've learned is timing, because I am a let's talk about it now and get it done over with so we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. I'm like, this is an issue. Let's talk about this issue right now.
Mm-hmm.
And for my daughters, when it's a tough conversation, it's timing. It needs to be the right time so everyone can have a conversation that is not fueled by anger, by emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if
Mm-hmm.
you were to, and I've done this with the girls where we do like a family meeting because someone has something on their mind that affects everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
so on Sunday, we're going to, or whatever day, we're going to have dinner
We
and talk about
it
that.
with me and my kids as they are older, we just talk about it. And the one thing about our family, we'll tell it. We are telling it.
Hmm.
Like, if you did something to Rebecca, Rebecca's telling Sue. Like, we're telling it. And it's crazy because my kids say the same thing. Like, you listen to her more, you listen to him more, you like her more, you do this more. I don't. I listen to everybody the same. And when it's tough conversations, I have to take a deep breath. Like, I have to just like, and I have to listen, and even listen to the criticism for myself. Even if they tearing me up, I got to listen. Even if it's hurting me when I'm listening to it, I have to respond to it. I have to say like, "Yeah, I don't know. That was a bad decision. I probably shouldn't have did that. I probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah, that wasn't cool. And I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Or my kids will say to me, "How about, Mom, you just say you're sorry?"
Right.
I might give you 80 excuses why I didn't do that, or 80 excuses why it happened the way it happened. They go, "Well, regardless to what the excuse is, just say you're sorry." And then I go, "Yeah, I'm sorry."
Yeah, as a parent, we're just modeling the behavior that we want for our children, you
As a
know?
parent, you're a human being.
Yeah.
You're a
We
whole
figuring it
ass
out as we go along
human
too.
being. And the best part of being a parent is, you know what? You're going to argue, you're going to fight, but you're going to make up. We're going to figure out how to bring it full circle. And I'm going to make mistakes. And I just hope that they forgive me for the mistakes that I've made and we move on. And I hope that not only do they forgive me for the mistakes that I've made, I hope they learn from the mistakes that I've made. I tell them all the time, I want you to be better than me. Don't be me. Be better than me.
Mm-hmm.
Be an exception to that rule, right? Do things the right way. I think it's good, and I think that you learn by your mistakes. If you can show me a perfect parent and a perfect house with a picket fence and everybody thinks that house is, oh yeah, your life looks great, it's an Instagram life, everybody's doing this and that, you don't know. You have no idea what's happening behind those closed doors. So I would advise any parent, listen, because I have a hard time with it myself. I'm a talker, but I'm learning to listen.
Yeah. I was joking when I was out for those 2 weeks, and I couldn't talk because my throat was so sore and so inflamed I couldn't talk. And I was joking. I was like, well, God just must want me to listen more than I talk for 2 weeks.
And sometimes it's like, just be still and know, right? Just be still.
I was like, I must need to keep my mouth shut and just listen to what's happening in my household right now and not have any comments. Just let everybody say what they need to say.
Write that
just
shit down. Just write it down.
I'm like, no, Mom, don't talk.
Just write it
it's
down.
Going to strain your voice.
Just write it down. What else can you do? But no, therapy is available. I'm big on people should go to therapy, or people should talk, or people should get it out. Like for me, this podcast is like therapy. It's like talking to people and helping mothers be better, and helping mothers know that they're people too, and helping mothers know that you can have a boyfriend, you can have a bad day, you can have a hangover, you can fuck up. Yeah. Like you can fuck up, but it doesn't mean you're a bad mother, and it doesn't mean you're a bad person. You can have a badass relationship. You can fuck up financially. Move on. Let the shit bounce off and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Because your kids are still going to need you. Whether you had a bad day or not. Your kids are still going to want their mom, whether you feel good or not.
Well, you know the saying about wise people and smart people. So part of the reason we have this podcast is because we want the parents and moms and everyone to be wise and learn from what we've learned, not smart, trying to figure it out on their own.
And another thing, we want the dads to learn too.
Yeah, parents.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we want fathers to know that we see y'all too. Right? We see y'all too. We're not having a podcast to say, oh, we're going to just talk about, talk shit about all the men and talk shit about all the dads. I know plenty of good dads. I see plenty of good dads. They combing hair. They're picking up kids. They're doing the things they need to do. They're in the grocery store. Me and Gracie was watching a dad yesterday. We were sitting outside of Starbucks because we had breakfast. And the dad, he had it was 3 boys. 2 little boys. They had to be like 5. One was probably 5 or 6. One was a little younger, like 2 or 3. One was a baby. And he had the stroller thing put all the way down for the 6-year-old. And the 6-year-old was pushing the stroller. And I'm like, me and Gracie, look, we like, go dad.
Yeah.
He's multitasking. And they all had on khaki shorts. It was funny. I was like, they must have been to church.
I knew you would notice what they were wearing.
I was like, they must have been at church. They all had the button down with the khakis on it. And the little boy was just pushing the stroller. And I was like, that's impressive. That is impressive.